Opportunity. From the onset, Honorable Speaker, the minority supports the motion on removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Rigathi Gachagua because, Mr. Speaker, he is unfit to hold office in Kenya, and yesterday it was clear to all Kenyans to see for themselves the danger this country is in, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the impeachment of the Deputy President is not merely a procedural step. Rather, it's a reflection of our commitment to accountability and the rule of law in this country, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the integrity of government and the stability of our nation is at stake, Mr. Speaker, as we speak this afternoon in this House, this evening, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, national security is at stake. Honorable Speaker, the economy is at stake. Honorable Speaker, the DP, since he assumed office, we have witnessed nothing but abuse of power, discrimination against communities, insubordination, disregard for the two levels of government, corruption, bullying, and many other actions that undermine the rule of law, Mr. Speaker, as well as actions that are unethical, illegal, and that severely breach public trust as contained in the motion by Honorable Mwenge Mutuse, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in supporting the removal of the Deputy President from office, we are rejecting the invitation by Honorable Rigathi Gachagua to accept tribal bigotry, Mr. Speaker, skewed resource allocation, and the exploitation and domination of minorities as fait accompli in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I move forward, or before I go on with what I wanted to say on the motion, Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this chance first to respond to some of the issues that he has raised in the House a few minutes ago, or his responses, Mr. Speaker. In the first place, his response came very late in the day to the House, Mr. Speaker. He tabled his response at 4 p.m. in the evening today, Mr. Speaker, and he should have done it either yesterday evening or this morning, Mr. Speaker, so that the House can get enough time to peruse what he has said, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one of the grounds that is being accused of Mr. Rigathi Gachagua for impeachment, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of what he calls shareholding, Mr. Speaker. He has said Kenya is a company with shareholding. But in his response, he comes here and tells the House that he did not mean that. What he meant is that he was talking about political parties, Mr. Speaker, and listed the political parties that have formed coalitions within Kenya Kwanza, Mr. Speaker, including Ford Kenya, ANC, PA, and all other parties that have formed what is called the Kenya Kwanza coalition, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to contradict what he said by saying that political parties are national in nature. Ford Kenya is a national party. ANC is a national party. All the political parties that formed a coalition with Kenya Kwanza are political parties that are of national, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in this country, under the Constitution, you are not allowed to form a tribal party. You are not allowed to form a religious political party, Mr. Speaker. You are not allowed to form a Mulima political party, Mr. Speaker. That is very clear in the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. And if the Deputy President is not aware of that, I can read out for him, Mr. Speaker. Under Article, Mr. Speaker, 91, every political party shall have a national character as prescribed by an act of parliament, have democratically elected governing body, Mr. Speaker. And it also says in Part 2, a political party shall not be founded on a religious, linguistic, racial, ethnic, gender, or regional basis, Mr. Speaker, or seek to engage in advocacy of hatred, like what he does sometimes, on any such basis, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, You cannot equate political parties to what the Deputy President has been propagating for the last 2 years in this country, Mr. Speaker. The Deputy President has told Kenyans in no uncertain terms that Kenya is a shareholding company.
Order, honorable members.
And if you
Order.
do not vote, for Kenya Kwanza, you do not have any shares, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Yegon, and your team. Ngong.
Mr. Speaker, members now are excited because they are not happy with the response the Deputy President has given them. Now they want to vote and go home. I know what they are doing. I know, but let's prosecute the matter. We have to respond to the issues he has brought to the House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, political parties are not equal to regional and ethnic, conglomerations that the Deputy President has been advocating for the last 2 years, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to give him a good example like ODM. ODM has sent the other day 6 experts under the broad-based government, Mr. Speaker. 6 experts. Where are those experts coming from? One is from the coast. Beatrice School is from Turkana. Oparanya is from Western. The Attorney General is from Kisumu. Mr. Speaker, when he's talking about 30% of Fort Kenya and 30% of ANC, he thinks those positions were given to lawyers as a community, Mr. Speaker. When Fort Kenya is a national party, those positions belong to members of Fort Kenya who are in Mombasa, who are in Migori, who are in Kakamega, who are in Bungoma, who are in Eldoret. Fort Kenya has membership in all the country, has membership, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, that ground is not, he cannot controvert that ground by saying that he was talking about the power sharing within Kenya Kwanza. No, he was talking about ethnic groups, Mr. Speaker. He said this government was formed by 2 ethnic groups, and that's how they are going to share power, Mr. Speaker. So that ground stands, Mr. Speaker, and that ground is impeachable, Mr. Speaker, on the Deputy President. The other issue, Mr. Speaker, I want to respond to that he has raised here, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of national security. He said that the NSIS, Mr. Speaker, can be called out whenever they are out of order, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the man, Deputy President, sits in the National Security Council, Mr. Speaker. He doesn't need to call out any government organ in the streets, Mr. Speaker, like the people who do their things in the streets, Mr. Speaker. He's a man who sits in every governance organ of this country, Mr. Speaker. All organs of government, all governing organs are also oversighted by committee of this House, Mr. Speaker. What happens, Mr. Speaker, in this country if every member of parliament goes out there castigating governing bodies and constitutionally created bodies of governance, Mr. Speaker? We are going to have anarchy in this country. Mr. Speaker, I am not convinced that he has answered in any way that question as to why he was castigating bodies like the NSIS and the police out there when he's the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. On that ground, Mr. Speaker, I feel he's impeachable on that, Mr. Speaker. He has not given us any sufficient answer to that question, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue of Justice Maina. He said that he was not attacking her because of the judgments she rendered against him, Mr. Speaker. And he said that he had filed a petition with the Judicial Service Commission, Mr. Speaker. He who wants equity must come with clean hands. You cannot castigate a judge in the rallies, in burials, and then you want JSC to listen to you. You can't have both ways. If he wanted JSC to deal with that matter, if he was unhappy with the way the judge has handled his case, Mr. Speaker, he should not have castigated her in a burial, Mr. Speaker. He should not have talked about her in a very demeaning manner, Mr. Speaker. He should have kept his cool and filed his petition with the Judicial Service Commission, Mr. Speaker. On that account, Mr. Speaker, he has failed the leadership and integrity, Mr. Speaker, under the Integrity Act, Mr. Speaker, and on that account, he's impeachable, Mr. Speaker. My last point, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of the renovation of his house in Karen, or the official residence of the Deputy President Karen, Mr. Speaker. You remember the Deputy President, when he was assuming office, when he was taking oath of office at Kasarani, Mr. Speaker, the way he lectured us The way he told us that they have inherited empty coffers, Mr. Speaker. There is no money in this country. The former regime has looted and gone with everything and goes ahead after 2 months to renovate his house, his official residence, with over 100 million, 45 million shillings, Mr. Speaker. Imetoka wapi, Mr. Speaker? Where has that money come from? Where has that money come from? He has not convinced us in any way how that money was spent, how those companies were paid, and on that account, Mr. Speaker, because of misuse of public resources, he is impeachable on that account also, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this. When we gave ourselves the new constitution in 2010, we knew very well that we were coming from an era where we cannot impeach the president, we cannot impeach ministers, we cannot impeach the deputy president. Kenyans gave themselves the new constitution, and they put in there Article 150, knowing very well that one day they will hold their leaders, the president, the deputy president, accountable, Mr. Speaker. And they gave that mandate to this House, Mr. Speaker, and the Senate, Parliament in general, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was shocked under the public participation, people saying that Kufa Makanga, Kufa driver, Mr. Speaker. We cannot allow the driver to die because it is an issue. We are witnessing a situation where the Makanga wants to take the steering by force. And what happens after that? The driver is carrying 55 million Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. We cannot allow the driver to die because 55 million Kenyans are going to die with him. But the Makanga, who is just hanging at the door there of the matatu, can go, Mr. Speaker. If he misbehaves, Mr. Speaker. And, if he's not doing his work properly, Mr. Speaker, the easier one to go first is the Makanga, because the Makanga is the one who should be telling the driver what to do. And they're telling us here, Kufa Makanga, Kufa driver. The petition of the driver is not with us in this parliament. The petition we have, the motion we have before us today is the motion of the Makanga. And we are going to deal with him perpendicularly and thoroughly, Mr. Speaker, this afternoon. Mr. Speaker, I want to tell the House that us, the people of the minority, the Azimio people, Mr. Speaker, we have lived like orphans in this country for the last 2 years. Why do I say so? Mr. Speaker, we are taxpayers. Some of the places that contribute to the highest taxes in this country are areas that are dominated by Azimio people. And then somebody comes here and tells me, you are not a shareholder, you are not going to get services, you are not going to get development. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Does the taxes that are paid by the Azimio people count for nothing, Mr. Speaker? And it is coming from the high office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is the time we are going to correct this thing so that it never happens again, so that we don't have another Deputy President who comes later. Because when we impeach this one, another one is going to be appointed. This is a lesson to the next one, that if you misbehave, we will just take you through this Goleta, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude by saying this. Let us not personalize offices. We don't have any ill will. We don't have any bad faith. We don't have anything that we are holding against the persona of Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua, Mr. Speaker. We are dealing with the office of the Deputy President currently occupied by one Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua, Mr. Speaker. The office holder. And let us not personalize. The office does not belong to him, does not belong to anybody. This is a constitutional office, and the Constitution has prescribed how to deal with you when you misbehave in that office, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, for Kenya to become cohesive, Rigathi must do what? Rigathi must? For Kenya to become cohesive.
Okay, give him 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker.
Give him 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I was telling members, for Kenya to unite, Rigathi must. For Kenya to prosper, Rigathi must. For Kenya to have unity, Rigathi must. For shareholding to end in Kenya, Rigathi must. For us to have a peaceful country, Rigathi must. Thank you very much. That is the mood, and that is what how we are going to do. Asante sana.
Thank you, Kimani Ichung'wah.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. Honorable Ekomas Mutuse, the member for Kibwezi West, approached me with the impeachment motion. Honorable Speaker, I took some time not just to go through the grounds that he had stipulated for the impeachment of the Deputy President, but also to reflect on what Honorable Mutuse was asking me, not just as a member of parliament for Kikuyu and leader of majority party in this house to do, but also took time to reflect and ask the Almighty God to guide me and give me wisdom to do the right thing. Honorable Speaker, I pray to God that the Almighty God may give me wisdom to do that which is right. And not just what is right, Honorable Speaker, but also what is just. Just to the outgoing Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, but also just, more importantly, just to the people of Kenya who turned out in their numbers in 2022 to vote in a government that they believed would create cohesion and unity and offer them opportunities to excel and prosper as a people. Honorable Speaker, as I prayed for wisdom, I was also conscious that what is right is not always easy. And what is right is not always popular. And being a son of the mountain, representing people of the Mount Kenya region, Honorable Speaker, it was clear to me that what may be popular today may not be right. And that is why I asked God to give me the wisdom to do that what is right, Honorable Speaker. And I am here today to do what is right for the people of Kenya. I am here to do what is right, not just for the people of Mount Kenya. I am here to do what is right for the greater good of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Speaker. And that is why I rise to support this impeachment motion, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, having listened to Honorable Mutuse and all the grounds, and having looked at the Constitution, Honorable Speaker, and I would beg for us to look at Article 150 on the removal of a Deputy President, the reasons as to why you may remove a Deputy President from office. The first one is on the ground of physical or mental incapacity to perform the functions of that office. We have no capacity to determine the physical and mental capacity of the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. But on impeachment as a second ground, the first ground is on the ground of a gross violation of a provision of this Constitution or any other law. The question that begs is whether one Rigathi Geoffrey Gachagua has contravened or has grossly violated one provision of our Constitution. And I think the Honorable Ekomas Mutuse was able to demonstrate this morning that Rigathi Gachagua has violated not one, but over 8 provisions of our Constitution, which I agree with the Honorable Mutuse. And for that reason, Rigathi Gachagua ought and must be impeached today. The second ground, Honorable Speaker, is where there are serious reasons. And Senior Counsel Otiende Amolo went to great length this morning to explain what serious, when you believe there are serious reasons that the Deputy President has committed a crime under national or international law. Honorable Speaker, behind the veneer of humility that you have seen here this evening, behind the veneer of humility that Kenyans saw on national TVs on Sunday, pretending to apologize, is a dark face of violence, is a dark face, Honorable Speaker, that is a great danger to our nationhood, a great danger to the unity of our republic, Honorable Speaker, a danger to the cohesive existence of our nation as we see it today, Honorable Speaker. On the first ground, Honorable Speaker, on the remark of Serikali ni kampuni, it pains me, Honorable Speaker, as I say, not just as leader of majority, but as a member of parliament of Kikuyu constituency, and also as a son of the mountain, where I come from. That, Honorable Speaker, today, the community I come from is being depicted as a community that is entitled and privileged. We are a community, Honorable Speaker, that has love for other Kenyans and other communities in our republic. We are a community that is known for our hard work and resilience, not for entitlement. We are a community that is peace-loving and that believes in the unity of one indivisible nation and Republic of Kenya. Rigathi Gachagua does not believe in an indivisible country. He believes in parochial, selfish, regional, and sectarian interests. And for that reason, Honorable Speaker, we ought and we should impeach the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua. Honorable Speaker, we need to ask ourselves as Honorable Members of Parliament, who took an oath of office, Honorable Speaker, and we swore in the name of the Almighty God that we would obey, respect, uphold, protect, and defend this Constitution. And today, Honorable Speaker, what we are being asked to do is to recall those words of the oath of office that we all took either with the Bible or with the Holy Quran in our right hands, Honorable Speaker, that for a man who has grossly violated our Constitution, whether we will stand up today to be counted as protecting and defending this Constitution by sending home one Rigathi Gachagua, Honorable Speaker. I want to say I rise to the occasion today to do what is right and to reaffirm that oath that I took with the Bible in my right hand, to obey, to defend, and to protect this Constitution that we all swore to defend. And I call upon all of you, honorable members, to defend this Constitution. Honorable members, for Kenyans around the country who watched in disbelief as the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua went to great length, and the Honorable Otiende Amolo told us this morning, if you have to spend 2 hours on national TV to defend corruption and tell the world how you are not corrupt, you are definitely corrupt. Honorable Speaker, the Deputy President with his legal team submitted their defense late at 4 p.m. this afternoon, imagining that we will not have the time to go through this voluminous document. If you go through what Rigathi Gachagua was telling you here, on Olive Garden Hotel, he claims that this hotel was sold by executors to a third party. Honorable Speaker, if you peruse through the documents, the third party that is said to have bought this hotel, Honorable Speaker, and allow me, Honorable Speaker, first to tell you that the joint executors of the will of the late Governor Nderitu Gachagua were Rigathi Gachagua, Advocate Njoroge Regeru, and one Mr. Mwai, who was said to have been his great friend, Mwai Madhenge. And Honorable Speaker, if you read the report filed in court by the joint will executors filed on the 27th of June this year, it says in the report that the joint will executors will make decisions independently of the beneficiaries and without influence from any beneficiary, except for one who is both a beneficiary and an executor. The joint will executors does not have the same attributes and mandates as for trustees, where beneficiaries would play a part assisting in decision making. What this is saying, Honorable Speaker, a document filed in court, is that Rigathi Gachagua, as a joint will executor, was also a beneficiary of the estate of his late brother. He was not only a joint will executor, he was also a beneficiary, and he was also a purchaser for value of the estate of his late brother. Olive Gardens is said to have been sold to one gentleman that many of us know, the Honorable Gishimu Githinji, the member for Gishugu, will tell you that the gentleman who is listed here as a purchaser for value for Olive Gardens, one Peterson Jomo Mushira, was a candidate in Gishugu constituency. He is a direct proxy of one Rigathi Geoffrey Gachagua. And Honorable Speaker, I must confess, and I am sorry to my friend Peterson because I know him. I just called him this afternoon when I saw this document. And I asked him whether TM Civil Engineering Limited is his company, and he confirmed to me it is indeed his company. I therefore want to tell you Olive Gardens was purchased through the proxy of Peterson Jomo Mushira with 0 shares and TM Civil Engineering Limited with 6,000 shares. Those who have visited the Annex House, the office of the Deputy President, know this Jomo is a permanent fixture in the office of the Deputy President, and therefore his direct proxy. Honorable Speaker, we are also told, Honorable Speaker, that these very hardworking young Kenyans, in the names of Keith Ikino Rigathi and Kevin Gachagua Rigathi, who are listed on the CR12 of the documents that were tabled this afternoon by Rigathi, are shareholders of Vipingo Beach Resort that owns the Vipingo property in Kilifi County, the one the Honorable Chonga was speaking about. Rigathi Gachagua told Kenyans on national TV that this property is still owned by the family and therefore is still part of the estate. Keith Ikino and Kevin Gachagua, his sons, were not joint will executors of the estate of Nderitu Gachagua. And the owners who are listed on this CR12 is Keith Ikino Rigathi, Kevin Gachagua Rigathi, and the estate of the deceased James Nderitu Gachagua. It is a rather ingenious way of trying to hide behind the estate of his late brother. And how shameful, Honorable Speaker, that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya would hide behind the veil of the estate of his late brother to disguise what is outright proceeds of crime, because he is a purchaser of this property, and that is why his 2 sons are listed as directors and shareholders of Vipingo Ridge, of Vipingo Beach Resort. But he was on national TV telling Kenyans, this is a property that belongs to the family, and we have decided to keep it. This is a House of Records, Honorable Speaker, and it is good we gave the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua an opportunity to be heard so that we can expose his lies in broad daylight or this early in the evening. And I want to tell Kenyans and all of you members, save this country from this dark face, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. Save this country, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, because of time, I know there was alluding, Honorable Speaker, if you look at the time this company, Vipingo Beach Resort, was formed, it was founded on 5th August 2008. I would guess if Keith Gachagua is 31 years old today, at the time this company was registered, he was only 15 years old or 14 years old. He cannot have been listed as a director. His younger brother must have been 12 or 13. For heaven's sake, Deputy President, give some credit. Honorable Speaker, we also had the issue of shareholding, Honorable Speaker. And we were told that in our coalition agreements, Honorable Speaker, and you are then the leader of Ford Kenya, and you know you never subscribed to shareholding in our coalition agreements within Kenya Kwanza. Anybody who subscribed to the Kenya Kwanza coalition was subscribing not to shares, but to an ideology, a shared ideology, not shareholding, as Rigathi Gachagua wants Kenyans to believe. Honorable Speaker, let me finish by saying, Honorable Speaker, that the mountain is intact. The mountain is intact. The mountain is intact. The mountain is intact. The mountain is named after Kenya because it belongs to all the people of Kenya. We must end ethnic balkanization.